Alright, so this is TCG Market Watch, or TCG investments. Not really watch, it's investments. I don't know why I said watch. It's this new little series I'm adding. I always wanted to do this because I do buy and sell cards here and there. I do buy packs, and I tend to have spares, and I don't need the extra cards, so I do tend to trade them and sell them off. But it's a good idea to take some of your money and invest it into certain cards, especially cards you see value in for you to play, but also for other people to play. If you see that a card has a really good effect, it would be a good idea to get a whole bunch of copies of that particularly good card and hold on to it and see what happens. One of two things will happen: either the value of the cards will go up a little bit and you made some money, or they go up a lot, you made a lot of money, so great for you, or they just became a little bit more valuable, at least in trade value, more than what you paid. Let's say you paid a quarter for each, let's say you bought a playset of a card, you spent a quarter each. Well, you take the playset, let's say the playset only goes up by a nickel, so now they're 30 cents each card. Well, your cards went up in value by 15 cents. So your playset went up by 15 cents. Hey, you made some money, but of course you have to sell it in order to get that profit, right? But you can just hold on to it and see what happens, see if they go up even further. But another thing you can do is just, even though they currently only value at 30 cents for each of the cards, in trade value, they could be valued at close to 50 cents to $1. You know what I mean? Just because you paid very, very little doesn't mean they don't have more value. It's just that, when it comes to the market and reselling into the market, you're competing with other people who are also trying to sell the same thing, same cards. That's where, your card's worth 30 cents. But among your friends, among people, other, people you might meet, other, players, the value can go higher. You can even value the card for trade value. You can value the cards $1 per card, right? Especially if they're hollows and whatnot. And even if you paid a quarter per hollow, you can value them at $1, $2 for trade purposes. So for trade value, they can be worth more because somebody wants them. They're playable, and that's important. If somebody wants them, obviously they're playable for a reason. So if somebody sees value in the cards, they want it, they want to use it. Therefore, you can increase the value of the card by trade value. You can make the value, you can use the money aspect, make it, trade it as if it's worth more money than what its real market value is, because you're trading. So the way you get to here, because I'm on TCG Player, this is where I get most of my stuff, most of my bulk. Plus they have a nice little feature, which I was looking around to see if they had some useful features on this site that I could use, and I found out that they have the collection feature, which is right up here, right next to your messages and your order history, my account. So after you log in, you click on my collection and you'll get here. This is a nice little thing. Now I thought I was going to have to put in, I was expecting something like this, like there'd be a feature like this where I can type in my cards and whatnot, either cards that I purchased from the site or cards that I already have that I didn't purchase on the site. I already had it from trades or from buying packs or something, and then just post them up here, and then just periodically, every day, once in a while, or once every other day, come here, check my little collection, right, and see if the values of my cards rose. And I might create I wish they had more features. They might have more features. I'll figure out how this works out better, find out all the different settings for this. But it'd be cool to have a feature where I can kind of highlight a set number, mainly how much I paid. And then like right here where it says low, it will be the value of how much I paid for each copy of the card. And then, you know, and then of course you see mid and high, and then mid will be what you use for your market value, right? And if the mid number, as you can see right now, most of these numbers are in the mid is higher than in the low, you know, you would know, hey, I made some money. And you can, you know, subtract the low from the mid, and you can see where your, you know, what your profit is for, you know, if you're gonna sell your cards. Again, like I said, for trade value, you can value them a little bit higher than market value for, you know, for trading purposes. Let's see. But of course, I wanted to show you my collection. As you can see, this is the cards I invested in. Some of these are mainly for personal use, so some of these will be like one copy of like Cyber Dragon Infinity, Artifact Durando. You know, I just wanted them so I can play them, so they're not really for investment purposes. You know, they're, you know, more for personal use. But obviously these two cards are really good. And but the cards to where you see a slightly higher number, especially any number here where 6 and above, those are mainly investments. Right here you see I got 75 Mares, first edition, you know, near mint. And that's another thing you want to, when you're investing, you want to look for near mint and then buy near mint, you know what I mean? You want the cards in really good condition, so that way when you resell them, you can resell them, you know, near mint, you know, in really good condition. And once you get them, keep them in the packaging that they were shipped in. That way when, you know, you have to ship them back out, right? When you find a buyer who's willing to pay more than you paid for, you can ship it back out in the packaging that you already had, so you don't have to take them out and re-sleeve them, all that extra stuff. You know, pretty much getting them dirty with your fingers. You know, you don't want to depreciate the value of your cards. Just hold them in the packaging that you received them in from, if you purchase from TCG, which is what I recommend. But anything that says play 3 play sets, it's 50-50. Either I bought it because I need a play set for myself for personal use, or I bought a play set for testing the market, so to speak, right? I bought them just in case. Like I bought 3 Deep Sea Diva just in case she gets brought back to 3. Right now she's at 1 per deck, right? But she might go back 3 someday. So just in case, I got a play set. Birdman, same thing. Just bought a play set just in case I need a play set. Birdman. Right now he's limited to 1, but maybe he gets unlimited in the future. At least now I have 3 copies of Birdman. Grand Horn of Heaven. Any card that has potential to be stable, especially in your own decks, like you have your own stables. Like if every deck you build you use Solemn Strike, obviously you're going to want a whole bunch of Solemn Strikes, but you might not have a lot of Solemn Strike money, right? So you're not going to do that. I don't have a lot of Solemn Strike money to throw around, so you know, I go for Grand Horn of Heaven, which is good enough. Not as good as Strike, right? But good enough. It does at least one of the things that I needed to do with this to help me combat pendulum decks, because anything else, any other thing I have to deal with, I can relatively deal with it the old-fashioned way, you know, just the way you normally play Yu-Gi-Oh. But pendulum summon is a pretty strong mechanic, so having a main deck out to that is very important. And as well as, you know, Grand Horn is useful against some other summoning mechanics like synchro summoning, exceed summoning, and even fusion summoning that doesn't require a spell card, like contact fuse, like how the ritual beasts summon themselves, or the BWXYZ, you know, Buster Dragon, right? You can Grand Horn him. Let's see. It's also useful against other monsters like Blackluster Soldier, Chaos Emperor Dragon, Judgment Dragon, Cipher Dragon, you know, a lot of dragons, right? So it's a relatively good card, so why not have a whole bunch? for the different decks that you play. Plus, you know, there's nothing wrong with having some spares, because, you know, they go up in value. Hey, you know, they went up in value. I can go, you know, sell a couple. Especially if I paid relatively very cheap for the whole entire 15 card lot. Let's say I paid $1.50 for the whole lot. So I think I probably paid somewhere around there, maybe $1.50, $3 for 15 grand horns, right? But if the grand horns go up to, you know, like $2 per grand horn type of value, so basically a $6 play set, you know, 6 times 10 is 60, right? So 6 times 10 play sets, 10 copies of grand horn is, you know, $60, right? Something like that, right? No, I said it wrong. If it's, I said $3. No, yeah, it was $6. $6 a play set. So it's $2 per card. Two for every 10. 2 times 10, 20. So I don't know where 60 came from. Sorry, 20. You know, obviously because it's $6 for each 3 cards, and this is 15 is 5 play sets. So 6 times 5 is 35. There you go. That's the accurate number. My bad. 35. So, you know, off of what a $3 investment, you know, I can make close to $35. You know, but that's if that ever happens, right? The best I can hope for is that each copy is at least worth 50 cents. You know, best case scenario, $1. But if each copy at least goes up to 50 cents, you know, I would make a profit, because 50 cents is $1.50 a play set, and there's 5 play sets, so that's about $7.50 profit off of $7.50 off of $3 investment. That's $4.50 profit. So it's a little over double my investment. So, and you can consider this, there's a term me and my friends like to use, which is penny stock, because we're buying these cards in bulk for pennies, like nickels, dimes, quarters, you know, for pennies, for $1 less, and then holding on to them, and then when they go up, you know, 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents, you know, we doubled our initial investment. And as you can see from my little, this is a rough estimate, because I think I probably spent a little bit more than this, but roughly I spent $40 in the value of my collection as my investment as it is, with 274 cards, is, you know, a little over double, you know, what I spent. So as you can see, just by using these numbers here, you get a rough estimate of, you know, my profits. I've made some money just because I bought these cards relatively cheap, really early, before the market started going up, because, you know, supply and demand, so to speak, you know, quantities going down, fewer sellers on this site have copies, because I bought pretty much most of their copies. That's another thing. I try to buy all from one vendor. Like if somebody has 15 copies of a card, and I could afford it, I try to buy all 15 off of that one person. You know, that way I become the new vendor, right? I'm taking his place. You know, I'm giving him his money, which is how much he wants for his 15 card lot. I take it from him, and then I hold on to it until it's worth a little bit more, and then I'll put it back and sell it for that little bit more, you know, and go from there. I can, you know, say some names in case you're interested in, you know, grabbing some of these cards yourself. Cipher Mirror Knight, Cipher Twin Raptors, because Cipher Wing, you never know. Ciphers might become, you know, next meta. The Mirror Knight and the Twin Raptors come from Invasion of Vengeance, and the Cipher Wing comes from Dragons of Legends Unleashed. So those are the 2 packs where you can get a couple Cipher monsters, and the only Cipher monster that comes in Dragons of Legend Unleashed is the Cipher Wing, and he has a decent effect because he makes the other Cipher monsters become level 8, so you can exceed into a rank 8 Cipher monster, right? And there is a rank 8 Cipher Photon Dragon, and they might come out with more support. Think about this is essentially the first wave, so the more likely will come up with some more support, the deck might become meta. Hey, so the value of these cards could go up. Plus, Cipher Wing is ultra rare, while the Cipher Twin Raptor and the Cipher Mirror Knight are commons. And I roughly got them for like nickels and dimes, quite literally. So even if they only go up to close to 50 cents of value per card, I still made a relatively huge profit because I like multiplied my initial 5 cents, 10 cents investment. You know, I already mentioned the Diva, Dark Bribes. Dark Bribes in general is a good card. I bought it, you know, because I needed a play set, but I do plan to buy more Dark Bribes so I can put them in more of my decks, because for me it's a staple. Denlong, first of the Yang Zings, really good card. It can search out. Yang Zing card is one of those cards I like to obviously search out with. Is 9 Pillars of the Yang Zings, which is the counter trap. It's essentially Yang Zing's version of Solemn Judgment. You can use this 5-star synchro, which is ultra rare, to search out the 9 Pillars of Yang Zing, and there you go. You have a Solemn Judgment ready to do whatever you need to use it for, right? So I try to buy almost. I try to balance it out. At least I got a play set of it to go with one of the play sets of my 9 Pillars of Yang Zings, and then I have 3 spare play sets. 1 spare play set of 9 Pillars of Yang Zing, just because. But if I can get 3 more of Denlong, first of the Yang Zing, that'd be nice to go with my second play set, because it's good for them to go together, since that's the whole idea, is to use them together. Divine Wrath, generally good card, and I just got it just so I can have it, because it's a generally good card. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Especially if you, because what I like to do, since I don't, like I said, don't have strike money, I can use Divine Wrath. 3 copies of Divine Wraths along with 3 Grand Horn of Heavens, which gives me 6 cards in my deck. And if I use something like Guiding Ariana to help me search out, I can control the effect that I need the most, right? If I need to negate a monster effect, I can go for Divine Wrath, or if I need Pendulum Summon negation, or just inherent summon negation, like Synchro Summoning negation, like to negate the summoning of a Synchro monster, Exceed monster, or whatever, I can search out the Grand Horn instead. That way I can substitute the Sound Strike. That way I can have the ability of Strike without having Strike. Obviously that should make sense. It's just my budget way of having Strike without actually having Strike. But if I can get strikes, oh man, I would get strikes. Curry Photon got me 2 play sets. I typically like to get 2 play sets, especially if it's if the play set's not too cheap, or I just see some value in the card and it's like, this card's pretty good. I personally do use Curry Photon in a couple decks, so I was like, buy 2 play sets, since I already have some to play with. These 2 play sets are just for my little stockpile, my little penny stock, since I already have the Curry Photons that I use, and since I do use the card, it makes sense for me to make a little investment. Magister Paladin, the Ascending Draco Slayer. There's going to be more Draco Slayer support, so why not, right? Plus, this has a decent effect. You can splash this into any deck that is Pendulum and has level 4s. And there is the new Pendulum, the new Magician Pendulum deck that's coming out soon. And they have level 4 Magician Pendulums that they can exceed into a rank 4. And Magister, Paladin, Descending, Dragocyte could be one of those rank 4s you can go into. That way you can search out a Pendulum monster during your end phase. You know, so you can thin out your deck even more, and you know, search out specific, you know, Pendulum monsters you need for specific combos and plays. So I got me a play set, you know, that way I can, when they go up in value, you know, I can sell 1 or 2 off as a one-of, because you know, you don't need to play 3 per deck. You could just play just 1 per deck is enough, especially if you use like the Gusto Air Motor or something like that, or some card effect that can recycle monsters from like your extra deck, from your graveyard, and throw it back in your extra deck. Then you could just reuse that 1 Magic Spectre Paladin, so I don't need to buy, you know, a whole bunch. 3 was enough because I could sell 1 or 2 and keep 1 for myself, or sell 1 and keep 2, you know, however way it goes. 75 Mares, obviously that's like one of my biggest bulk investments, and the cards were relatively cheap. I got them for like around 2 cents per Mare, so I was able to get 75. And from like the person who was selling it had 75, so I'm like, oh, I could afford all of it. So like I said, bought the whole entire lot, the whole entire bulk that they had. I was like, I'll hold on to them. I see value in the card. The card's pretty good, and you know, the card did just come out, you know, Invasion of Vengeance, so there's only 1 print of it. And that's another thing to look into, you know, first prints of cards. You know, you want there not to be so many different rarities or variations of the card, and if there are a couple of different variations, then you go for the, you know, it's best to go for the highest rarity, because there's a lot of people who like high rarity. But if the best you can afford is mid rarity or low rarity, you know, then go for low rarity, because you still make some money off of low rarity, but you know, you'll have a better chance with higher rarity. So just depends on your budget, you know, how much you have to spend. Me, I just go for I definitely want high rarity, so I have gotten some high rarity stuff, but most of the stuff I get tend to be like low rarity, because either that's the only rarity they have, like Mare only comes as a rare. But if it came in as another rarity, you know, obviously if it's a higher rarity, that would have been a better choice to pick the higher rarity. I got me 3 play sets. Yeah, it is 3 play sets. 3 play sets of Mausoleum of White. Really good card. I admit I accidentally misread the first line of his effect. I was like, oh damn, that's a really good effect. That'd be good in like Bylons or something. But then after I purchased them, I was gonna purchase them anyway, but I really thought it was better than I really thought. I thought it was better. No, I thought it was better than it really was. When I reread the effect, I was like, oh, it's a level 1 light tuner. I thought it said, you know, 1 light tuner on extra normal, you know, normal summon on top of your normal summon. So I was like, oh, that'd be good to summon, you know, Bylon level 4 lower tuner, right? With the effect of the field spell, and then normal summon for your regular normal summon, and then you can synchro and go into some Bylon plays. That's what I was thinking when I first initially thought that the effect was you can summon 1 light tuner. I didn't realize it said level 1 light tuner. So I'm human, I can make a mistake here and there. So I misread it and thought it was a little bit better than it really was. But then when I saw that it was level 1, it's like, oh, well, that makes sense. Obviously, Mausoleum of White was meant to be played with blue eyes mainly. So I understand that they chose 1 star. Now, if they made it where you can use level 4 lore or any level light monster, that would have been awesome. because definitely it would have been indirect support for the Violon deck. But it's still a pretty good card. Its secondary effect has use. The ability to target a monster you control, just face up on your side field, and send one normal monster from your deck to the graveyard, and then increase the attack and defense of your monster that you targeted with the Mausoleum of White's effect by 100 times the level of the monster you sent to a graveyard. So if you send like a Blue Eyes from your deck to a graveyard, you gain 800 attack and defense. And that 800 attack and defense can matter. It's strange, some people think that's irrelevant, but it's very relevant. You know, your opponent has a Blue Eyes, you have a Blue Eyes, then you use this effect. Now your Blue Eyes is 800 stronger than his Blue Eyes. Yeah, that does matter. You know, just like if your opponent has like, I don't know, maybe a Utopia, the lightning on the field, right, with you know, he has 2500 attack, he already used up his materials, so he's only going to be 2500. And then you special summon a Thrasher, and then you use the field spell to send a Blue Eyes from your deck to the graveyard, right? Increase Thrasher's, Photon Thrasher's attack to 2900. Now you're 400 stronger than his Utopia, so that does matter. So that's why it's weird to say it doesn't matter. It's like, oh yeah, that extra boost does matter. It definitely does. If it didn't matter, Honest wouldn't be important, right? But Honest is important because it does give you power boost, and power boost always matters. But anyway, it's a good card. The fact that you can use it in decks that have a good amount of normal monsters, so you can send them to a graveyard to get power boost, but at the same time, deck thinning is very useful. You know, thinning out your deck gets you closer to your other cards, and then just because you send a monster to the graveyard doesn't mean the monster is going to stay in the graveyard. You can always summon it back from the graveyard or add it back from the graveyard to your hand. There are cards for that. So there are monsters who have effects for stuff like that, like the Yusra Emerald. I like the idea of using an Exodia deck because I can send pieces of Exodia to the graveyard with the field spell, and then use cards to add the pieces of Exodia from the graveyard to my hand. Of course, you're only sending the normal body parts, but whatever, you know, you can always add the head of Exodia from your deck to your hand by some other card effect. Necro Face. I can go on and on explaining the cards individually, but I'll just finish this off and let you get back to doing whatever you want to do. So yeah, play set of Necro Faces. I got me the common ones because it's a good card, and it could always go up in price because it is a good card. It's currently at 2, but whatever. Someday it might go to 3. Needlebug Nest, 9 Pillars of the Yang Zing, Paleozoic Anomalocaris is a good card. Paleozoic Dinomishkish, Paleozoic Obambinia, if I'm right, that's the XY. That's the rank 2. The other 2 are traps. The Performer Pal Seal Eel, present card, Rare Metaphors Bismurgir, Spiritual Swords of Revealing Light, which is a pretty decent card. I like that trap card. I like using it in like Light Swarms or any deck where I mill. That way I can use it. It's a graveyard effect, but it's also decent if you just set it on the field and use it to pay 1,000, negate an attack, and it doesn't target, which is awesome, to negate an attack and protect like your Light Swarms or whatever monster you got. It's worth paying 1,000 if you can keep your monster alive, especially a very important monster. And then it, again, has a graveyard effect, so it's just good in general. Only has 1 print of it because it just came out from the Dark Side of Dimensions movie pack, and it's ultra rare, so it's already a high rarity. And as you can see, I got me 2 play sets, and one of those play sets is already in the deck. Spiritualism, I got me the rare one from Labyrinth of Nightmare, and then I got me the common ones from the Legend Collections 3 Yugi's World. As you can see, I got 18 of the original Labyrinth of Nightmare ones, and 5 of the Legend Worlds Collection 3 Yugi's World. The reason why it's 5 and not 6 like it should be is because I guess they must have sold one around the time I was gonna buy it, and then I was like, damn, I can only, the person I'm trying to buy from only has 5, and I don't want to buy from somebody else because they're selling it for a little bit more than I want to pay. So I was like, screw it, I'll go for 5. It's not that big of a deal. The ones I plan to make a little bit of money off of, or a good amount of money off of, is the rare ones anyway. The common ones, they're just for my own personal use. And I already had a spiritualism, so it's not that big of a deal. I only had 5 instead of 6. And Thunder Seahorse, I use that in a deck thinning strategy. I discard Thunder Seahorse, add 2 Thunder Seahorse from my deck to my hand, and that right there reduces my deck to less than 37 cards, along with other cards that help thin out my deck. So my deck is roughly a 30 card deck, you know, in theorio, as it were, right? And Ultimate Providence, because it's a good card, you know, depending on what you're trying to negate and whatever card you have in your hand. If you have a monster, spell, or trap, you know, you're trying to negate a monster, discard a monster card and negate it. Or you want to negate a spell card, discard a spell card to negate the spell. Or if you want to discard a trap from your hand and negate that card. But if you have Guiding Ariana in your Pendulum Zone, you don't have to discard to activate Ultimate Providence. You can negate whatever spell, trap, or monster effect. So obviously that's a really good effect. And I got me just one playset. And Yazzie, Evil of the Yang Zing from the Mega Tins, got me a playset because it's a good card, and the idea is to use it in combination with the Mares. In case you're kind of curious why I saw value in the Mares, is because of Yazzie, Evil of the Yang Zing. He dies, he can bring out Mare. Then I can use Mare's effect to make another Yazzie, and there you go. Told you my little secret. And that's the end of the video.